After an 11-point loss to the Clippers last night, the Heat are now 3-2 on their Jimmy Butler-less 6-game road trip. We should mention Bam Adebayo did miss last night's game, but Jimmy is slated to return from his suspension for conduct that is detrimental to the team this Friday. That's when Miami is back at home against the Nuggets. Nobody has been more on top of this story than our friend, our senior insider, Sham Charania, who's joining us now. Shams, what can we expect? Because it feels like just about anything when Jimmy Butler returns on Friday.
Malika, the Heat are going to be faced with decisions at the end of this week. We don't know where it's going to go. But do you bring Jimmy Butler back into the fold? Do you find a trade for him? Do you reach some sort of settlement with him to continue to stay away from the team? Because sources told me that Butler told Pat Riley to his face that he wants to be traded, that he will never again sign a contract in Miami, and that if he uses that $52 million player option that he has in the offseason, it would be only as a trade maneuver. And Butler is also expected to meet with Heat owner Mickey Arison later this week. So in the meantime, the Heat are 3-2 so far in their 6-game road trip. They've done it without him so far. And from Eric Spoelstra to Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, around this team, they've spoken about, yes, it's tough being without Jimmy Butler, but they haven't had the distraction, the chaos, quote unquote, and also the clarity that they've had with Jimmy Butler away from the team. And in factions of that locker room, being without Jimmy Butler, it's provided at least you're not dealing with a disgruntled player. So in the next 48 to 72 hours, we're going to see more conversations in Miami to figure out where exactly this is going to go.
Yeah, because when you're using words like disgruntled and unhappy, all of that comes back on Friday when Jimmy Butler is eligible to return. These are not problems that they are kicking down the road. Shams, thank you so much for your insight. We will continue to check in with you because this is changing and changing quickly. The Heat, though, they're used to this a little bit, right? They played 16 games without Jimmy Butler this season, and they've gone 8-8 in those games. They've also played their fair share of games without Butler just during his tenure in Miami. 117 regular season games to be exact once the 7-game suspension ends. But nothing quite like this situation using the adjectives that Shams is using. And it feels like we're kind of at an impasse here because this is imminent, Brian. He is going to be back on Friday. So what's the best move for the Heat going forward here? Actually, I don't even say want to go forward. This week, what's the best move for the Heat this week?
Conversations with a number of teams, I'm told, and they don't have a trade that they're even close to. They don't like any of the options on the table. So what do you do when you don't have a trade? You keep going and wait for something to develop. The thing about it is they didn't suspend Jimmy Butler for saying he wanted to be traded. They partially suspended him for the way he was playing. And if Jimmy Butler's position hasn't changed and you suspended him because of the way he was playing, which they felt was not full power, then how do you bring him back? And, that's the difficult thing, is that the suspension was probably already longer than you would expect for his behavior. So I don't think another suspension, unless something happens, is merited. So this is truly a pickle, and I think a lot of the league is watching to see what happens.
Look, they did that suspension 7 games so that they could have this West Coast road trip without those distractions. And I've been with the Heat a little bit lately, and it's every press conference in the opposing city, their PR director Tim Donovan comes in and says, Coach Bo will not be answering questions about Jimmy Butler.
And that's when they start.
It's like an announcement before, right? Because each new city, they don't know what they're trying to do. And it's, they've been able to block out the noise last night. I actually thought they were playing really well until last night, and then they didn't have Bam Adebayo in the game against the Clippers. When you don't have Bam, you don't have much else, except for that man, Tyler Hero, who has an all-star bid this year. But I think, reality comes back at them fairly quickly. They got one more game on this trip here in LA. They're going to head back to Florida, and then we will see if they introduce the chaos back into the locker room.
Yeah.